So welcome to my first thoughts on Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart by Insomniac. We're finally here for the PlayStation 5. I requested this game from Sony. I was interested in seeing it because I wanted to see what this game would look like on a PS5. I wanted to see what can they really do. And the reason why every single Ratchet & Clank game has pushed the hardware to a certain extent. And when I first saw this game, I thought, looks pretty good. Looks like a Ratchet & Clank game. So if you've ever played them, you know what you're going to get. And I knew what I was going to get with this one. I went in pretty cocky going, yeah, it's going to be a Ratchet & Clank game. It'll be fun. Every once in a while, I'm expecting a game to be a certain way. And then you play it and you're taken back. And you're like, wait a second. This is what next generation gaming is supposed to be today in the year 2021. And Ratchet & Clank completely knocked me out of my seat today. I went in expecting it to be a good game, to look pretty good, but I was absolutely bulldozed over, man, because these graphics are some of the best graphics I have ever seen. I can say that. I gotta say, Resident Evil 8 this year has impressed me immensely, but Ratchet & Clank, for a cartoony style world, has blown me away. And I sat there, and I just want to tell you about my first impressions sitting there. You start off the game, and you're in the cinematic, and the main character is winning an award, and you're like, okay, cool, and there's all the crowds around him. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, there's no way this is just going to be gameplay. There's no way. This is a cutscene. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting there with the controller, and I start moving, and I'm like, whoa, I'm actually in control right now. And it's the first time where all of a sudden I'm playing a game and I thought I was playing the cinema. I thought I was playing the movie for a minute. And I start running around and it's Ratchet & Clank. But my God, it's the best Ratchet & Clank game I've ever seen, I've ever played. And wow, is it really something else? And to begin with, we got to talk about graphics and all of that and the different modes of graphics. So the first mode is Fidelity Mode, and it's 30 frames a second with ray tracing in 4K. And this is the one that I played on, and I was quite impressed. I was like, oh my God, this looks great, especially if you're playing on a 4K TV. I recommend that. I mean, playing on a 1080p TV will be good as well, but for the true experience, seeing it in 4K is unbelievable. And there's performance RT ray tracing. That is 60 frames a second, but with a little bit lower res of a picture going on. And then there's performance mode, and that's 60 FPS, and that removes ray tracing, and it's a bit of a higher quality picture, a bit of a higher resolution picture. But as I say, I went with Fidelity Mode, and I was quite impressed with that. I guess the best way I can describe this game visually to myself is to think of it as a Pixar movie that you can play. It's like you're watching that movie and all of a sudden you can take control. That's how real and how good they've got it this time. And I'm like, oh my God, and every scene, going from one scene to the next, you're like, wait, is this a cinema? No, I'm playing it. Yeah, it's a cinema into game. And it goes back and forth like that so much that you're like, I can't believe it. It just has blurred the lines of what is a movie and what is a game. And running around shooting feels like past Ratchet & Clank games. You feel very at home here, but boy, what a facelift this game has gotten. And just running around, the enemies, when you shoot them, how they change colors, they blow up and explode, the particle effects, everything in this game, the textures. As you can see, I'm very excited because I went in with one expectation and I came out with another. And that's the kind of thing. It's like going into a movie, you're like, oh, I'm not really excited about this movie. And then all of a sudden you see Indiana Jones and you're like, oh my God, that was a great movie. And that's the kind of feeling that I had with this. The worlds that they've created here are unbelievable. The enemies, it's cartoony fun. It's really a good game for the whole family. And that I want to bring up is there's 5 difficulty levels. The first one is real easy. I'd recommend this for kids who get frustrated because you can't die. You can't go off the edges. So give that to your youngest kids and let them have fun without all the screaming. And then the difficulty ups from there. So you can pick where you want to go in and feel at home there. But the controls feel really good. You have so many different kinds of weapons, and there's a new type of thing in here. It's called Rift Apart, and there's a reason for that. Is because now you can jump dimensions. And I'm not going to ruin this game for you guys. That would be stupid. I'm not going to show you later levels and things like that. I really want you to see just the opening levels, and that alone will show you what this game is about. The later stuff just kind of builds upon that. And kind of using your grappling hook to jump through different dimensions is one of the most trippiest things I have seen in a game to this day. It's crazy because you see kind of a break in the dimensional barriers, and then you use your grappling hook, boom, you go through it, and you're in a different section of the level or a different location altogether. And the warping effect on that is simply stunning, and it's really done extremely well, and that's a big part of the game. Sometimes it can be a little bit difficult that you'll suck yourself through a dimensional hole and you'll show up somewhere else and you're right in front of a boss encounter or something like that. That does happen. That happened to me in the very first boss encounter of the game. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go through this window here. I went through, I'm like, nope, that was the wrong way to go. But to explain the levels, you're always going forward in this game. It's that kind of action game. It's like a platforming game, but in 3D. You're always going forward in the game. Man, I would really like in the future for a Ratchet & Clank game to really create more of an open world environment. It does create that feeling. Don't get me wrong. You're on a roller coaster ride through this game. But yeah, I would love to see an open world game, like a Metroidvania style game with this in mind. But this is what you're going to get from a Ratchet & Clank game. We've seen it in the past. We're seeing it here. But boy, they've really, I gotta say this, Insomniac Games has thrown so much money, and Sony has thrown so much money into this game that you see it every second on the screen, and it is impressive, and it will take you back. It's one of those games where you'll invite a friend over and you'll say, hey, check this game out. Doesn't this look like something else? This is my PS5 running. And it feels that kind of bragging impressiveness. You're like, look at this. This is cool, isn't it? This is next generation gaming. And that's the feeling that it gave me when I was playing it today. I was like, this is next generation gaming. You know, like when we jumped into the PS5, Miles Morales is an excellent game. And a lot, Demon's Souls is an excellent game. But boy, this really has pushed it. And I also want to say the haptic controls on the controller, fantastic. I know we've had a lot of PS4 versions and a lot of PS5 versions of some games, so we don't get the haptics on some of those games, where with this game, they've really implemented it well. I also want to say the music, sound effects, the voice acting, it all delivers. I mean, there's really not a lot to nitpick here. This is a stunning game, great gameplay, a lot of fun, but here's the thing. You have to like Ratchet & Clank games, or just action platformers in general. If you go in with those, that you enjoy those games in mind, you're going to have a really good time with this game. I can't wait to get back to it and to see some of the explosions and the lighting effects and the textures and the worlds and the monsters and the boss encounters. They've brought it to the counter, man, and I'm eating it up for breakfast because it's very, very impressive. I don't think I've said that enough, and I'm joking there. I don't think I've said that enough because the game has really knocked my socks off today. And big props to Insomniac for delivering a game that exceeded my expectations. I went in saying, oh, a Ratchet & Clank game. I'm going to enjoy this. And then being completely blown away by the experience, even though I played the rest of the games. Seeing it this way, playing it this way, was quite a marvel today, that's for sure. So guys, those are just some first thoughts on Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. So anyways guys, until next time.